Welcome to Poland Daily History with me, Nicholas Richardson. In the previous episodes, we've been discussing the history of Krakow. In this episode, we will look at how the city fared during the two world wars.
In general, during the First World War, initially the Russians had quite some successes on the Eastern Front. In 1915, they managed to take Krakow from the Austrians. It wouldn't last for long, but quite a big chunk of Krakow's population decided to flee the city to parts of Moravia and other parts of what is today Czechia. But once the Austro-Hungarian armies and the Polish legions, which were Piłsudski's legions, were fighting on the side of the Austrians, once they managed to retake the city, the population of Krakow that had earlier fled returned back home. And after that, the Russians didn't have any other successes, so the population in Krakow could stay safe and secure. Once the war ended, Krakow again started growing very dynamically. Naturally, the capital city was in Warsaw, but Krakow still served this role as the city of education, the city of the cultural elite. It is a position that Krakow still today is claiming, at
Indeed,
least.
Yes.
So this is a tradition that was also very strongly cherished during the interwar era. And naturally, the main seat of this was the Jagiellonian University. Once the Second World War broke out, the university was one of the targets by the Nazi invaders. Krakow itself as a city managed to survive both the invasion of 1939 and later on the arrival of the Soviets in 1944.
Which in itself is quite remarkable when you think of the damage done particularly in Warsaw, which we'll talk about in future programmes. It is remarkable that the Germans and others were able to resist the temptation to just destroy things in their normal orgy of wanton destruction.
Yes, there are different versions of the story of why Krakow managed to survive in that way. Initially, in 1939, when the Germans invaded, the mayor Stefan Klimecki took great risks himself as the Germans were about to enter the town. He himself walked up to the invading troops with his hands up in the air, famously screaming, Feuer einstellen, so seize your fire. The city is defenseless. There are no Polish armies here. They have left. There is no military resistance in the city. There is no need to shoot. And the Germans listened to him. Naturally, they didn't want to provoke as well. As long as no Poles were shooting against them in Krakow, they thought that let's see what happens. And if we start shooting at them, then maybe we'll draw out some opposition.
Because urban warfare is very difficult for armies, actually. It's not something they particularly enjoy.
And especially since Krakow has quite a big old town, surrounded still by walls, quite difficult to enter. Not completely surrounded by walls. Those were taken down, but still there were so many buildings of great significance, huge brick churches, previous ports of the city walls that were still left up standing. It would be very difficult for the German armor to enter the city center. The mayor himself, Stefan Klimecki, was very brave, and unfortunately the Germans didn't take too kind to his decision, and 3 years later he was one of the members of the Polish intelligentsia that were taken out to a forest outside of Krakow and unceremoniously shot. Unfortunately, just as the mayor of Warsaw, Stefan Starzyński, despite giving up the city, he didn't survive the war either. Even though Krakow didn't suffer the same fate as Warsaw, the war years were just as difficult there as anywhere else on Polish territory.
Adam, I'm going to have to ask you to pause there because, as usual, the clock has defeated us. There we are. I've had to ask Adam to pause, but fear not. If you join us next time on Poland Daily History, as we hope you will, we'll pick up the story of Krakow. In the meantime, thank you for watching.